welcome. Sun's getting a little low, it's getting dark out, and we got a better day ahead of us tomorrow. But before that, I'm going to help you fall asleep with a story that's near and dear to my heart. The Neev Genesis Black User Manual, issue 1.2, version 3.4 software. Back in the day, when I would wake up from my night terrors, my father would come in, he'd read me this, like that, I'd be out like a light. Starting off here, we have an important notice. Before powering up the console, please connect an external monitor screen to the DVI-1 connector. The console software cannot be used without a screen connected. For the Ethernet, there are two standard ports, used for internet connection to download new software releases, remote diagnostics login, and DAW control. The left-hand port is port number 1. Standard USB ports for connecting USB flash drives for backing up and recalling snapshots, etc. An additional USB keyboard mouse can also be connected. Microsoft Windows compatible keyboard mouse recommended. There is also another USB port on the master meter panel for ease of access. The MIDI in and out is not currently used on this model. For an external keyboard and a PS2 connector, a standard PS2 connector can be connected here if required. The connection should be made whilst the console is powered off. For the mouse PS2 connector, the connector from the console trackpad is connected to this port. Connection should be made whilst the console is powered off. DVI-1 provides the graphics output for use with an external monitor. A DVI VGA adapter is supplied with the console for use with VGA external monitors. And of course, the reset button resets the computer without removing the power to the rest of the console. And we have an image of what each of these looks like respectively on the side just for standard help. In addition, there are 3 cables exiting the rear central section of the console. HDMI for the DAW touchscreen display and 2 USB connections, one for the touchscreen USB and one for the DAW keyboard at the front of the console. All these cables should be connected to the DAW computer being used. They are separate from the Genesis computer system. And another important notice, the Genesis Black computer cassette runs the Microsoft Windows 7 operating system, and as such, the standard power-up and power-down procedures should be observed just as they are with any other computer system. Some important points to observe are, to shut the computer down, or to turn off the console, you shut down from within the Genesis software. Click System, then turn off console. Never turn the power switch on the rear of the meter bridge off without first shutting the computer down correctly. Removing the power in this manner will cause the computer to fail to boot up correctly the next time. Once the computer has been shut down and the external screen goes blank, please wait for another 10 seconds before removing the power to Genesis Black using the switch on the rear of the meter bridge. This is because stopping the graphical output to the screen is not the last thing that the computer does before shutting down. It will continue to write files for a short while afterwards. Do not put the computer into standby mode and then remove the power. This will cause the computer to fail to boot up correctly the next time the console is powered on. If for any reason, after several minutes, the Windows OS does not start up, you may see a message with the following options. Start normally, on screen. Connect a Windows-compatible keyboard to one of the USB ports at the back of the computer cassette. Select this option using the arrow keys, then press Enter. Otherwise, if the message is not on screen, then power cycle the console. The system will attempt to boot up. Make sure Start Normally is selected, and press Enter. Finally, unplug the keyboard, and make sure monitor is connected to DVI-1 for normal operation. After attempting the above, if you still cannot start the Windows OS, contact AMS Neev for technical assistance. Failure to observe the correct power-up and power-down procedures may invalidate the manufacturer's warranty, and should the computer cassette malfunction as a result, you will not be compensated. That's pretty important details. Optional console hardware. Part number, SMN 812411. Assembly number, AM5644. And it looks a little something like this. This cassette provides 8 channels with classic Neev 1084 EQ, 3 bands per channel. Without this card, or the 88R EQ card, the EQ button and ELD on each channel strip will not function. the EQ button on the monitor panel will not be locked out. When the EQ cassette is present, the parameters are set using the 4 encoders on the monitor panel. The card itself has no external connectors. All connections are made internally. And we have the installation instructions. Remove the power console. Ensure the switch settings have been set correctly for this card's position. See Appendix A for the switch settings on page 226. Remove the entire ventilation facing plate on the rear of the console by removing the 2 screws shown above. Right up there. Slide the EQ cassette into the topmost slot and push it to the rear until the connectors mate securely onto the back plane. And then screw the facet back into place. And then we have the Dynamics cassette, part number SMN 812412, assembly number AM5645. The Dynamics cassette provides 8 channels with dynamics processing, compressor, and gate, including the provision of an external key input. This external key input is available on both the gate and the compressor. Without this card, the DYN button and LED on each channel strip will not function. The DYN button on the monitor panel will also be locked out. When the Dynamics cassette is present, the parameters are set using the 4 encoders on the monitor panel. And we have the installation instructions. Remove the power console. Ensure the switch settings have been set correctly for this card's position. See Appendix A for the switch settings, again on page 226. Remove the ventilation facing plate on the rear of the console, and remove the key input, blanking the plate in the center. Slide the Dynamics cassette into the middle slot, and push the card firmly to the rear until the connectors mate securely onto the back plane. Screw the faceplate back into place, ensuring the key input D-type connector and 2 adjacent pillars comfortably clear the faceplate surface. Secure the key input D-type connector in place through the faceplate using the pillars and 2 screws. If you have an EQ processing cassette installed, it will only be possible to place the EQ on the channel path or the monitor path on the channel, not across both. Likewise, the compressor and gate can only exist on the channel or monitor path. It is not possible to have compressor on the input and the gate on the monitor path, or vice versa. And this is what the Dynamics cassette looked like up there. It's a pretty familiar image. It's a little bit bigger than the 1084 EQ cassette, but pretty standard. Now we have the Channels Digital Converter System, part number SMN 812409. Master and Slave is what they're referred to as. This cassette, I don't think that's aged well at all, actually. And when is this from? It's too soon. Whenever it's too soon, that has not aged well. The cassette provides 8 channels with AD-DA converters. Depending on the digital requirements, a master or master and slave, I'm not comfortable with the naming of these. I don't remember this being in the story when it was read to me as a youngin', but I guess we'll continue. A master or master and slave card can be installed in the groups or individually. Without this card, the DLN and DMON functionality and LEDs will not be available on the console. The digital converter board provides facility for digital line inputs, DLN, and digital DAW returns, DMON, into the desk, plus enabling the direct outputs on each channel to be sent digitally to the DAW. And installation instructions are as follows. Remove the main power cord from the console. Remove the faceplate on the rear of the console, shown above. We have that right here. It's a little bit of a bigger diagram than the last two. And remove the connector backing plate. If a new faceplate has been provided, discard the one removed and use the new one. Slide the digital converter board upside down into the lowest slot and push it to the rear until the connectors mate securely onto the back plane. Screw the faceplate back into place at points highlighted in red above. This is in black and white, so not going to be much help for you there. Secure all connectors in place through the faceplate using the pillars and screws. On larger consoles, it is possible to have one of each of the above cards for each of the 8 faders, providing EQ, dynamics, and digital line for externals for the entire consoles. For cards not initially present, the connector plates on the console rear will be fitted with blank panels instead. And the Monitoring Digital Converter System, part number SMN 812410. The single card, regardless of console size, enables the main mix 2T8T and auxiliary sends to be sent from the front desk digitally, as well as accepting a 5.1 digital surround external into the monitoring system to be sent to the loudspeakers. It is sub-fitted beneath the computer card and consists of 2 by 25 way D-type connectors for AES, plus a FireWire connector, as well as BNC connectors for digital sync I/O. MADI connections are optional. Installation instructions: remove the main power cord from the console. Unscrew the faceplate from the chassis at points A and B. As seen above, I believe points A and B, well, they're actually not listed on this one, so that's not super helpful. Remove the computer card from the rear of console. If a new computer card has been provided, then return the one removed and use the new one. Mount the digital converter boards onto the faceplate of the computer card using the included pillars and screws. Then slide the complete assembly back into the cassette until the connectors mate securely onto the backplane. Screw the faceplate onto the chassis. Highlighted in red above. That's not true. For more information on optional software and hardware, please contact your local Neev distributor. There is no phone number provided there, though, so it's interesting. The integrated touchscreen provides extended control for connected DAW computers, allowing side-by-side integration of console and DAW so the two can be used as one seamless system. The touchscreen is connected to the DAW power system, Mac or PC, via USB. For PC systems, a USB 3 cable should be used, and if the use of any extenders or KVM systems is required, then they should support the USB 3 standard. A USB 3 cable is supplied with the console and is one of the 3 cables exiting the center section. For Mac systems, either use USB 2 or USB 3 cables. Also, from the center section is a secondary USB cable, which is standard USB 2 connection, from the 2 USB sockets on the front of the console, underneath the front buffer and keyboard tray. This connection is provided as a convenience to stop long cable runs being necessary, and to keep cable numbers down. Finally, there is an HDMI cable that should be connected to the video output of the DAW computer. The touchscreen will then show the DAW computer's display. Note, it is also possible to show the Genesis computer display on this screen. To do this, connect the DVI or VGA with supplied adapter output from the computer cassette to the additional DVI or VGA input on the rear of the touchscreen. Cable is not supplied. Note that switching the keyboard mouse or touchscreen output to the Genesis computer is not supported, and a separate keyboard mouse is recommended if required. I can see you're getting pretty tired there. Me too. And that's okay. It's getting late. So I'm going to go now. I'm going to get into my pajamas and get all tucked in. And I think you should too. Good night, Melrose.